Hey guys, how's it going? Jay from Will's VG Addiction here with another repair video. What we got here is a copy of Kirby's Dreamland 3 for the Super Nintendo. And as you can see here, we've got a black screen. So let's check this out and find out why it's not working. All right, folks, what we have here is a very nice conditioned, cosmetic condition copy of Kirby's Dreamland 3 for the Super Nintendo. Now, you're not really going to be able to see it a whole lot through the normal camera lens, but this is not in the best condition. You can see perhaps that there's some battery leakage there, and then when you flip it around, it doesn't look too bad there, but when you look at it underneath the microscope, which we're going to do shortly, it's got some problems, but I believe it's fixable. Okay, we're going to start in the area of the battery and just take a look at the cart in general. So I believe, I could be wrong, but I do believe there is a resistor missing from this area here. You see there's a lot of corrosion there, and I believe the battery is leaked and gotten on quite a few of these components. This chip right here, this leg, let's see, let me get myself under the microscope so I can actually see and out of the viewfinder. So this leg right here is barely hanging on. I don't believe that's going to make it. I'm going to clean this board in an ultrasonic cleaner. And then we'll come back and look at it later, but I don't think that leg is going to make it through the cleaning. A few of these, or a couple of these at least, I believe, are loose. Well, maybe it's just the one. So yeah, I guess it's just that one. But it looks like there's enough metal there that I can run a wire or something, and I should be okay there. Some of these pins were loose, and I don't want to mess with them too much, again, because I said some of these are not in the best condition. I feel like they're kind of barely hanging on, but there's also quite a bit of corrosion in between these legs here, which I'm sure is causing problems. So I'm going to remove every chip, maybe sans this one. I'm going to remove all the chips and then reflow everything, clean it up underneath and reflow. But this one also, there is a ton of corrosion in between these legs here, which I'm sure is causing problems. And I'm sure not all of these are actually soldered on properly, so that needs work. Probably hit all the rest of these components with some hot air and see how they clean up. Pins look great, no issues there. It's just pretty much everything else kind of looks like crap. So this is another one where the leg is just kind of barely hanging on there, but it looks like there's enough metal for me to solder a wire, so no big deal. It's very unfortunate that this being such an expensive game, it's in not the greatest condition. I don't have a donor board, so we're going to work with what we got. The back of the board here looks pretty good. I don't see anything wrong with this at all, except for this area here, which we'll clean up once we remove that battery. Again, the pins look great. So what I'm going to do is I'm, again, going to remove the battery, throw this in an ultrasonic cleaner. I've got to take a look and see if there was a resistor there. I'm pretty sure there was. Perhaps I have one of the correct value, but I'll have to look that up and see what it's supposed to be. And then we'll come back and check out the state of this cartridge then. So see you in a few. All right, so a small change in plan here. I decided to actually just go ahead and reflow this chip here and reflow everything else on the board there. Before I throw it in an ultrasonic cleaner, it makes more sense. I'm gonna have to touch up some of these pins too. Hopefully they're okay. There's some dark spots in there, especially in this area here. This capacitor here does not look healthy at all. That one side just looks completely shot. So I'm gonna have to see if I can find what the rating is for that, and then I'll go ahead and clean that up and replace that. Outside of that, I'm also gonna see if I can't restore these pads real quick before throwing this in the cleaner. My personal opinion, the best way to do this, the easiest way to do this, is just break out the old grinding tool, and we'll just grind some of that crud away. And this is not on the pad. There's, well, shouldn't be directly on the pad. Wow, that pad is completely gone. Fantastic. There's still enough solder on here that I probably don't necessarily need to do this, but it's easier to wick the solder once the corrosion is off. So that should be good enough there. I just want to make sure that there's actually a trace there to go somewhere. It doesn't look like it. And that would be an accurate assessment, so I'm going to have to undo some of this mask here. And I'll show you a clearer picture in a minute. Let's clean some of that up. That's amazing. So as you can see, quite clearly, hopefully, there's not much pad there. There's a little bit of pad here. There's nothing here. And the trace basically starts right here. So even this area is kind of eaten away at, which is wild. That's terribly unfortunate. Let's undo just a little bit more of that mask. That might be fine, okay. That might be okay, but I'm just gonna undo just a little bit more. Want a nice fat area to work with, a nice little fat pad. So again, that's terribly unfortunate, but we can work with that. There's still some copper down here. So there's a little bit. There's a little pad here. There's a little bit of pad here, and then we got this. So that's plenty of space to work with. This, unfortunately, not so much. Let me clean up this area and see if this circuit is still complete. Actually, we can check that probably right now, but let me clean that up first, regardless. And then we'll have to make a little bit of, doesn't look like there's any pad at all there, but let me give myself a little something to solder to right here. There is very little continuity there. So basically what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to run a wire from here to here, which is okay, and then lay my resistor down here and run a wire from this area here to this area here, and then another wire from here to here, which not too bad, not too bad. That's pretty easy. So that's terribly unfortunate. Believe it or not, by the way, this battery, actually the battery that was here still has a charge. It was still like 3.1 volts. So I wonder if maybe this was just water damage and not battery damage. Not sure. Looking at the front of the cart here, all right, we have our label. Sorry about the shitty view, but in the opposite corner from where the battery is, there's a bunch of corrosion and stuff. So I really think maybe some water got in here, and it really wasn't a battery issue. It just so happens that a lot of the corrosion was in the area of that battery, unfortunately. Here, There is still a good amount of corrosion on that pin. I'll clean that up and see where we're at there. Yeah, I think this capacitor here is done for. I'm going to get some of that corrosion off of here. And that one should be fine. Get this corrosion off of here. And that should be a lot nicer to solder to once I actually get to that point. But even just wicking that up is going to be a lot easier now that I got that crud off. So now I guess the best thing to do right now, take a quick look at this. I'm going to probably run the iron on that real quick. It looks like the pin is broken. Terribly unfortunate, so I'm going to have to pull this this chip regardless and check out the state of that trace underneath. I might be able to get away with it as it is and just run a wire here to the middle portion of that pin. I just don't know if the trace goes anywhere else after it goes underneath the pin. I'm gonna let it go for now. I think what I'm gonna do, just to save myself a little bit of sanity here, I swapped my tip out. It's a little bit pointier and a little bit thinner, slightly thinner, not much, but let's see what we can do with that. Oh, that pad is definitely still there. It's the pin that's not that great. So I'm going to give myself a little bit extra area to work with here. That should be sufficient. That I hope is pretty clear for everyone to see. I hope. Lack of glare there and pretty zoomed in, but this pin has had it. My hands are shaky as shit right now. That's not helping me at all. I don't really care. I mean, this should be fine. This leg, like I said, it's almost done for. So I'm going to run a wire. I'm going to run it from the top of this pin here to this portion of the board there. So I'm going to scrape up a little bit of that leg and try to be as gentle with that as I can so I don't destroy it. And I'm sorry for the shakiness, but the closer you zoom in, the shakier it's going to be. I think that'll be good enough. You don't have to do a whole lot there. This thing is still going to go in the cleaner. Some of these may look bridged only because it's got flux all over it, and I haven't really cleaned that up super well, just very quickly. So I'll have to clean that up more, but everything else there looks pretty good. That one was the one that we touched up, and that looks pretty solid now. Here's our capacitor there. Actually, that does look pretty decent. You know, under a closer light, I may just have to kind of touch that up with the grinding pen, get some of that corrosion off of there. That might be all right. All right, and then this is our area where the resistor should be. So again, you can see all this just eating away there. And you can definitely see in great detail that that all this was eaten away. You know, and this has got nothing to do with me grinding. It's just, all this is just gone. You know, and here, doesn't look all that great either still, but that's quite the shame. That is all crud and corrosion still on there. So we can work with that still. That's fine. Not a big deal. And then Here's the other pin that's just pretty much gone. We've got a little bit to work with there, a little here, nothing here, nothing here. And again, has nothing to do with the grinding. It's just that, you know, it's all eaten away. So all fixable stuff there. So what we'll do now is I'll hit this one more time with the brush and some alcohol. And I think the ultrasonic is just about ready to go. So I'm going to clean this in there. After one more time, trying to get as much of this flux off as possible here. I'm going to see if I can't find what the resistor was, the value of that resistor in this capacitor here. And I should have replacements for all that stuff, but it would be way easier if I could just pull it from a donor board. Anyway, we'll be back in a little bit. Now, in the interest of saving myself some time, you got the ultrasonic cleaner in the back. Sorry about that, but I want to clean up these chips a little bit too before I throw those in the cleaner. But you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and clean these up a little bit with the pen, very lightly. Kind of get some of that corrosion off there, what I can anyway. This one right here, barely hanging on. I don't think it's going to make it. I would hope that it does, and I'm going to try to be as gentle with this thing as possible. But what I want to do, I'm pretty sure I can put a nice fat blob of solder on there, but I have to get the corrosion off there, otherwise it's not going to stick. And there's a couple things I can do. I can use a component leg on top of there and kind of bend it down there and secure it with that, give it some extra strength. I can probably just get away with, maybe if this breaks off, use a component leg to attach to there and solder that to the board with no wire. We'll see what happens. But like I said, the main thing is I have to get this corrosion off of here so I can actually solder to it and have it stick. And I got to be as gentle as I can with this thing because I really would like for it to not break off. And this is just the top area. The rest of this stuff doesn't look too bad. The bottom is probably going to hold some ugliness. Let's see. Actually, the bottom doesn't look too bad there. It's very sticky because it's still got a lot of flux on it. But again, this one right here in particular doesn't look, it's not going to stick with all that shit on there. So can I do this without breaking it off? I'm going to say probably not, but we'll try. No. Well, that's not surprising at all. But as I mentioned, there's just enough on there where I can work with that. And let's see if I can't expose just a little bit more by grinding some of that silicone away. Oh, we'll see. Again, it's microscopic. It's very, very tiny there, but I can work with that. This chip right here is not even the most important. You can do a board swap with a Japanese copy and you'll be fine. What you need for sure to actually work on this board is that ROM chip. So this chip right here is the most important one. Now, a Japanese copy of Kirby's Dreamland 3 will run you back probably about 30 bucks. These days it's a little harder to find out on eBay. I've got tons of these in storage, so I'd like to be able to get this working, but if I don't, not a big deal. I can wait it out. It'll be a couple of years before I can get back to it, but that's fine. No big deal. I would like to get it working though, as is. Okay, so for this one, kind of same deal there. Let's get some of this corrosion and stuff off here. The top side doesn't matter that much, but it's kind of nice if it looks decent. That should be fine. This one, again, kind of hanging on by a thread there. Trying to hook this one up without breaking it off. And I don't believe that's going to work. We'll see. I could not tell you what these chips are for. This one, not a clue. The other one, shit, not a clue. Maybe SRAM, I think. Yeah, that one should be okay. I just got to get it. It's so brittle, less brittle than the other one, but I just got to be able to clean this up without breaking it off. So it's kind of the same deal there, right? This is it's barely hanging on. Who even knows if that's going to make a good connection? I can still strengthen, as long as that doesn't break off, I can still strengthen that with a giant glob of solder, perhaps a wire or a component leg on top of it, or underneath, either one, and that should be a-okay. Okay, it's actually much later in the day now. I do not have everything that I need to complete this repair the way I would like to, so I'm going to have to improvise a little bit because I am currently Oconus and I do not have a quick way of getting anything delivered to me. So if I don't do it today or this weekend, it will take weeks to get the things I need. So for the purpose of just completing this video, and hey, maybe you don't have the shit laying around either, what can you do in that situation? So what we will do is we'll work with what we got. I'll talk about the SMD capacitor and resistor a little bit later on, but for right now, the easy part, let's get these chips on the board and let's fix these broken legs that we have on the chips and go from there. All right, so basic concepts here, right? What we do is make sure we get the orientation of the chip correct. So as you're looking at it, the letters are going to be upside down. Sorry, I can't get the whole thing under the microscope, but what we need to see here is we need to tack down a couple legs just so this thing doesn't move, and then we'll go ahead and solder the rest on. I hate doing this because my hands are super shaky sometimes, like today. But that's all right, we'll figure it out. So we want to try to get it as straight as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we want to try. So that's all right. You may want to move that up just ever so slightly. And then tack this leg down here. Hopefully y'all be able to see what I'm doing because I'm not looking at the viewfinder. Tag that down and it looks pretty straight from here. Straight-ish. Maybe move that side again. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but we want to try to get it as close to perfect as possible. And that doesn't look that great, so adjust as necessary. And the joints don't have to look good either, not right now anyway. I think that's good enough. So now we're going to run some flux down the legs. Maybe turn it this way, make life a little easier. It's kind of a lot of flux, but I don't mind it. I like using a lot for the work that I do. So you guys don't necessarily need to see it under the microscope, but I do because I'm blind as fuck. So enjoy the tilted view from the iPhone while I look under the microscope lens. I'm going to try to do this in a way that everybody can see. This is going to be very awkward for me, but that's all right. So a little drag solder in there. You'll get a better view when I do the other side. Perfect. And this is why I like to use a lot of flux because it makes it way easier to do this kind of not with the most amount of skill and still make it work. And I try to use my left hand so I don't get the camera out of focus there, which I'm not used to doing. Left-handed soldering. Something new every day. All right. Let's not overdo it. That's good enough. Same deal there. Line it up to the best of our ability. Probably not going to help to do that, but that's fine. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Just tack it down so the fucker doesn't move. That's what we need, is just to keep it straight. So from there, pretty easy, especially on this side because we don't have to do any additional work. That pin right there is not agreeing with us. So what that tells me is there's still quite a bit of corrosion on that pin. Or oxidation, I should say. But, not digging it. That, can't tell if that's good or not. So we're going to have the same problem here. And I just lost the pin, or the pad. All right, well, shit. Couple options here. Let me cut this off real quick. So that can happen, and that's not a huge deal, I don't think. What I want to do is I want to test to see if I got continuity on the one that's not trying to stick. So we do. Now we got to figure this one out. So we lost the pad there, which again, like I said, it's all right. We've got, we're going to have to see if we can't get something to stick to that little tiny piece of metal that's hanging out there. A little tiny piece. And get it over to that, that little, whatever's left of that. I would like to just go ahead and remove that again. And I'm going to run, yeah, I think, what should I do? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and remove that, and I'm going to do some additional work there to clean this up. That's very unfortunate. Because what we're going to also see is, I don't know how well that pad is sticking either. It's okay. That's all right. So take that little piece off that came free. And we're going to make ourselves a pad the hard way. The magical copper tape. Now I just ordered some of this, let's get a little. I just ordered some copper without the adhesive on the back because it's so much better but who knows when that's going to get here. No idea. So for right now, doesn't matter. We'll use what we got. We'll clean all this up. So I've got to cut a piece of tape. See how big this roll of tape is? That's actually about the right size. If I can cut it to the right width. That right there might be okay, roughly. It's a little big, but that's all right. We can work with that. So this is a bitch. This is a real bitch to work with because look how tiny this thing is compared to my finger. So I'm gonna have to get the adhesive back on there. We've got a little extra length there, but that's fine. I just need it to stay on that side and be straight and not fucked up. And it's kind of okay, I guess. Good enough. Okay. But it's actually not in the right. Is that in the right position? Of course it's not. Why would it be? Now we're in the right position. I need to get this completely straight to where I need it. And it's not the easiest thing in the world. It's a little small. All right. So now comes the fun part. I'm going to use a little bit of this UV resin and I'm going to tack that pad down on the one end. Got to cut it right about where I need it. I just need a little bit more of a cut there. Really don't screw this up. Right about there. Try not to cut through it and cut the board. So what we don't want is to expose that trace underneath. Here, let's try that instead. There we go. That's what we want. Now, I'm going to grab a little bit of this UV resin. So we're going to just dab a little bit down there, just a little. It's way more than we need, I think. You know what? Maybe we'll clean that top portion up and then use that as well. Before I do that, let's make sure we got continuity where we need it. Good to go. All right, so we are clear. I'm going to dab some of this down here as well. A little there, and a little there. And then we're going to hit it with the UV light. About 34 seconds. Let's test. Make sure it's not going to move around. And then we have ourselves a pad. Yep, rock hard. Now hopefully there's like a little tiny little bump there. Hopefully that doesn't interfere with this thing laying flat on the board, but let's try it out. Fume extractor, please. Question looking at this though. Is that really going to be enough to solder something to? Not sure. Let me see. Can I grind that down just a little? Well, folks, I don't know. What do you think? Is that going to be enough? In the interest of science, we're just going to do it anyway. Fuck it. At this point, it's more of a question of can it be done than will it actually look good and all that. I'll go with the hot air. It should be fine. I think that that makeshift pad should be fine. Oh, come on, you. Oh, lovely. Very lovely. Okay. So now, let's hit it with 2 flux. Obviously, this is not going as well as I had hoped. Get you some of that anti-glare light there. Now, what we're going to try to do, what we're going to attempt to do, I'm going to need some light so I can see the shiny part. I'm going to see if I can get a little dollop of solder onto this this little piece right here, what's left of it. There's a little. So much for that makeshift pad lasting. Cool. Cool. It'll just come completely up. That's not good. I think it did. This is not going super great. And look at that, it sticks. All right. That is what I call good enough. Good enough. Now we got one more chip we got to do that with. So that'll be this one here. Missing a good amount. Jeez. Let's take a look and see what we got going on here. There's very, very little to work with. Turn this off. My word, this is taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. I'm not going to have the thing win any beauty contest, that's for damn sure. Maybe a little bit excessive, but we can see the side of that pin there, so that's a good sign. I don't want to grind that pin away. Oops, what's left of it anyway. I wonder. I don't know what the inside of the. I've never like ground one of these down really well. Is that going to be what we need? Is that little bit? That's a good amount. It's a good amount of metal. Oh man, you guys, can you even see? So I don't know how much that actually showed up on camera, but I did grind quite a bit. I had to grind quite a bit down to get to any kind of metal. I do have this little bit here, and I don't know how these things are constructed on the inside. So is this pin that was supposed to be here, is that the metal for that, or is there another like plating in there that kind of connects a whole bunch of different stuff? I don't know. In the name of science, we're just going to throw this biatch on the board there, and we're going to figure it out, and we're going to see. Why not? We haven't come this far for nothing, right? So let's do it. I'll be honest with you. At this point, I don't believe we're going to get to what we need. But like I said, I'm very curious at this point to see if this will actually work. I'll dab one of them. It doesn't matter which one goes down. shouldn't have done it like that. Oh well. We'll run a wire there, hopefully, see if that actually works. Like I said, I don't have high hopes with that. I don't think that's going to stick. And if it does, I don't think it's actually going to work. I think we damaged that chip too much. But again, who the hell am I to say what's right and what's wrong here? Well, we'll figure it out. We'll see. Test, experiment. That's what we do here. Let me get another little piece of wire. Let's turn that on. Oh, it's stuck. That would be hilarious if that actually works. That looks like shit, but I want to push it. I'm going to do that just a little bit. I got to clean that pad up. I mean, I know it wasn't the best in the first place, but so this capacitor is a 130 nanofarad capacitor, and I think it's still good. I'm just going to leave it on the board. Hopefully I don't mess up my wire there. All right. Maybe I should have done a better job of scratching these pins or the pads up, because I'll tell you, they're not wanting to take any of this solder at all. It should be good enough. Now the last thing that we have to take a look at here is that pin right there. Now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to run a wire. I'm going to go ahead and, because that was the only pin that was loose. And that was because it was heavily corroded. Shout out to fucking Northridge Fix for the tips on making the video quality a little bit better. Yeah. Let's swap that tip out. At a minimum, let's do that. This bitch is not gonna work. So we need solder on that pin right there, which doesn't want to agree with me. We need a good dollop of solder there. This one doesn't seem, yeah, it's taking it now. That's good. That's bridged. Fix that later. Might be overdoing it a little bit, but that's all right. We've got our wire. Got to attach it to this pin with the shaky hands, of course. Helps if it's curved a little bit. There we go. Now that makes it easy to position it right where we want it. So I thought. And I'm on the wrong one. Now that doesn't look the prettiest, but it gets us where we need to be. So let's go ahead and cut that. Let's test continuity. Turn this shit off. Good to go. So let's clean this up just a little. Now, this resistor here is related to the saving function. I don't have a battery. I mean, I could jack one from another game. And I probably should, just to make sure, you know, this is what the whole point of this is learning, right? But what I will tell you is the same thing that we did here with this leg to make a new pad is what you would do here. It really isn't that difficult, to be honest. So I don't necessarily know that I need to show that right now. But let me know. Do you think that's worthwhile? I'm going to say if this thing, I mean, if it doesn't even work in the first place, it doesn't matter if it saves or not. I'll throw that in the ultrasonic cleaner, but this is not a game, as far as the condition is concerned, this is not a game that I would ever sell like this. I do have, like I said, I think I mentioned in the beginning, I have plenty of Japanese copies in storage, and I don't mind just waiting and doing a board swap there. That way I can give the Japanese copy away or sell it for like $5. But this one, we'll take a look at the value. If this works, we'll see, but who knows. I'm not cleaning up too much again. I'm just gonna throw that in the ultrasonic cleaner if it works, or if not, we'll try again later. But right now, this is gonna be it for the night. I have high hopes. I didn't at first, but I kind of do now. So let's see what happens. Oh snap! I'm not gonna lie. I did not think that was gonna work. Wow. Now, call me retarded because I've only played this game once, and that was some years ago. Yeah, it looks like everything's showing up the way it's supposed to. Hopefully there's no background that's supposed to be in there and not being replaced by a white background for whatever reason. Let me see, do I have a controller around here somewhere? Indeed I do. A little commander controller there. Capcom commander. I'm gonna pause for a minute. All right, so all I have is this Capcom, well, this is a Super Famicom controller too, not even a Super Nintendo one, but I actually really like this controller quite a bit. I didn't at first, but I love it now. Now, like I said, the save function is not gonna work right now because we don't have that resistor and we don't have a battery, but the fact that we got the damn game going is a miracle to me. That's pretty dope. All right, that's enough of that. All right, fam, so now that we've got the game working, let's talk about the value. So this listing here on eBay was pretty honest. Some of the pictures here, you can kind of see how jackered up it was. Not to the full extent, but you could see that it wasn't in the best condition. So I got this for $100. I didn't make an offer. I just said, fuck it, go ahead and let's get it. $100 plus $5.32 shipping. Listing states that label's in good condition, doesn't boot up, blah, 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 right? We go over to the Holy Bible, and we can see that the game is apparently worth almost $200 loose. Now we can see it here, our label here is in quite nice condition. The shell in general is actually in really nice condition. So once we get our hands on a Japanese copy of Kirby's Dreamland 3, and do the ROM swap, this will be in great condition. Like I said, I probably have like 10 copies in storage. Just don't have them with me. So back to the Bible here. $200 loose. Good Lord, that's a lot of money. I think I bought mine somewhere around 2017, 18, I don't know. It was somewhere around there. I don't remember. I don't think I paid more than I may have paid like 70 something dollars for mine when I got it. But you can see here, somebody paid $239. Let's take a look at that one. It's wild, or best offer. So no, they didn't pay $239. Let's see, $229. And that's a straight up $229, no offer. And look at the, what's going on there? Not bad condition though. I mean, it's still a lot. I wouldn't pay that, but somebody did. Anyway, pretty valuable game, you know. I am going to wrap this portion up just because it's getting pretty long and I wasn't expecting to go that long. But again, we've got the game working. Not the most beautiful thing in the world. And you can, it's not super, super obvious, but you can absolutely see that that chip right there has got a ridge gone from it. and then this one here, you can see the solder work done there. I'll maybe I'll do a follow-up when I get some batteries. I'll do a follow-up, and then I'll see if I can't order some of those surface mount resistors, and then we can clean that up in part 2, perhaps, if anybody gives a rat's ass to see any of that. So yeah, we got it working. I mean, this is, to me, most of it is nothing new. I've never had to grind a chip down as much as I've ground that one down to get it to work. Everything else is pretty standard stuff here. I will tell you that I would certainly say to you, if you're watching this and you've got something that you want to do this kind of work on and you've never done it before, practice on something you don't care about. Do not do it on something you care about, because you will mess it up the first time. None of us are perfect. I don't claim to be some kind of expert or genius or any of that. I've done a lot of this and I've messed a lot of stuff up to the point where I can kind of be confident on getting this stuff working most of the time. Not all the time, but anyway, that's going to wrap it for this one. I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.